it's Greg Schinkel, President of Unique Training and Development and Frontline Leadership Systems, and today we're talking about change. But not necessarily the change that we normally would talk about in a Leader Feeder episode. This isn't so much around how you help your people enact change. This is about change that's happening within our organization and how we deliver value and services to you. So this is the last batch of Leader Feeder episodes that we are recording in our existing studios because we've got some brand spanking new studios that we're moving to next week. And so this is a fitting time to also talk about the change in the Leader Feeders themselves. We've produced over 300 episodes with yours truly, trying to bring you practical advice each and every week or every other week. And now it's time to hand over the reins to our general manager, Kirk Langford. Now, Kirk's been with the company for a year and a half, and he's been instrumental to helping us systematize the business and scale up the business. So Kirk, you've been a godsend to the business, and now you're also going to be a godsend in taking over the Leader Feeder episodes. Now, here's the good news. You guys can still count on getting nice, practical advice from Kirk in the Leader Feeders. But you might say, well, what's Greg going to do? Is he retiring? Well, I wish I could after 30 years, but I'm more excited about the next 10 years of our business than I was the first 30 years. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a series of high-level videos for chief operating officers, directors of operations, and VPs of operations on how to really link the frontline leadership training that we provide to some of the operational priorities. Because what we see is organizations are getting stuck in trying to get traction and execution on some of those priorities. So I'm going to be still seeing you on one of our social media channels. And in the meantime, you're going to be in great hands with Kirk. So we've got an episode now that we're going to deliver jointly. So Kirk, what do we have on tap for today?
Well, Greg, thanks so much for that introduction. It is a pleasure working here and being with you. So I'm excited to start doing some of these Leader Feeders. So let's get started. Today, we're actually going to talk about this question of how HR manufacturers, leaders, in manufacturing can help frontline supervisors excel. And now you and I had that impact meeting just recently that we were thinking about, and I'd love for you to share that with the audience. Talk a little bit about how this relates to helping these frontline leaders excel.
Yeah, so first of all, you should know that an impact meeting is a meeting that we have after our project wraps up. So typically we'll deliver our frontline leadership training over a number of weeks or months, and then we want to get the management team back together to talk about what we saw in terms of our observed change, but also most importantly, what have they noticed in terms of change and improvement? And I think the thing that we really were struck by was when the director of operations said what he noticed most is that he had less phone calls and texts from the supervisors in how to handle specific things.
That's right, yeah.
And I mean, how do you, when you see it, because HR managers have to provide these kind of skills to help supervisors, what's one thing that you think our training does that really helps the supervisors become more self-sufficient?
Yeah. Well, what I think it helps them do is, first of all, I think it empowers them to realize that, oh, there's some of these problems that I've been previously escalating to management or other levels that I could probably tackle on my own. I just need to make sure that, I'm making the right decision based on the right factors. But I think that empowerment piece is really important because it's when they realize that, oh, I can take these risks and I can do make some of these decisions on my own, that they go, well, I don't need to go up to the higher ups anymore. I can make these decisions for myself.
Yeah, and that takes, of course, that's a two-way street because the director of operations has to let the people know, I want you to make these kinds of decisions, because one of the topics I'll be delivering in a future episode for COOs and VPs of operations is really this idea of decision-making waste, which is when decisions get escalated and problems get escalated unnecessarily. They start consuming management time when those folks have other things to do. And one of the things we've noticed is that the supervisor often doesn't know that they have permission to do it. But I think the second thing was, are the supervisors equipped to make those decisions? What do you think about that?
That's right, yeah. Well, they got to have not only the tools, but they have to have support of their manager, like you said. So I think often managers go, oh, I'd love it if my people made more decisions and solved more of their own problems and, didn't involve me so much. But I think, like we said, their team doesn't realize that they're given that permission because we don't really talk about it. We go, well, if you solve the problems, that saves me some time and some effort, and that's great. But when do we actually take that time to sit down with our team and say, listen, I have a lot of faith in you, I have a lot of trust in you, and I want you to know that I'd like you to actually try and solve these problems on your own first, because I trust that you'll 99% of the time, you'll actually make the right call, and you'll probably only really need to come to me the odd time. And the rest of the time, you're going to make the right call and know the right thing to do.
I think sometimes managers view these things as all or nothing, like a dump and run. I'm just basically going to hand these tasks off to you, and away I go. Good luck. But wisdom takes time, experience takes time, and so we talked about creating a fence line, right? Which is just this idea of here's some discretion, some authority that you can make the decisions on, and then as you prove yourself to be more capable, we're going to increase that fence line and make it even better. I think the other thing that caught me that the director of ops had said is that he noticed that there was less screaming and or yelling on the shop floor. Yeah. And I thought, what are your thoughts on that? Why is it that supervisors often lose their cool or don't know better?
Well, I think if we go back to the idea of how HR managers can help frontline leaders excel, I'm sure they love to hear, hey, there's way less yelling and screaming on the shop floor, because that's way fewer things more than likely getting escalated up to HR. This person yelled at me, or they called me this or said that. So first of all, I think it's something that they're going to go, oh, this is fantastic. But I think a lot of times that happens is because there's a lack of an ability to manage conflict effectively. So we become either defensive, we might become sort of aggressive or passive when we're dealing with conflict, and our inability to deal with it in a healthy, constructive way makes it where any kind of conflict that comes up, it's automatically a negative thing. And yet, if we can provide them with the skills to show them that, first of all, conflict isn't always bad. In fact, sometimes it can be good because it drives innovation, it helps us identify problems and maybe misalignment that's existing. If we can show them that it's not always a bad thing and how to get through it effectively and constructively, we actually come out on the other side better. So I think they need those skills in order to reduce the amount of sort of fighting that might be happening on the shop floor.
Yeah. So as the supervisors become more confident and competent, they just take care of things in a more respectful way. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're an HR manager, of course, this requires you to give us a call and start a conversation. So whether you're a leader in operations or an HR professional, let's see how we can help you. And that starts, again, by reaching out to us on our website at uniquedevelopment.com. Be sure, if you're not already connected to us on LinkedIn or Facebook, or the latest, of course, is TikTok, where we are blowing up, and it's not from dancing and singing, I can tell you that. No matter how we can help you, please connect with us so that we can help you build an organization of high performance.